is especially for Danny. Danny's asked me to tell you about my new toys. I've known Danny for a few years now, and as you know, he's an up-and-coming young independent filmmaker, hopefully with a big future ahead of him. And some interesting scripts, and some mad ideas, and some weird stories, but I'm sure with a bit of therapy you'll get over it.
That's a nice bit of kit.
It's lovely.
How did you come to have it? Why have you got this?
Well, we were looking at making a short film, and we talked about the different formats that we could use, and it'd be great to go to 35mm film, but obviously my budget and my overdraft wouldn't quite go that far. And we looked at hiring or renting in a red camera, which seems to be the weapon of choice for a lot of digital filmmakers in the big bad world of filmmaking. But the cost of renting the kit for a week and all the associated bits and toys that we need with it would have probably cost about the same as buying all of this kit.
So are you suggesting that it was a bit of a compromise going for this?
I suppose most people who are in the loop on what Canon's doing with their hybrid cameras know that it's a force to be reckoned with. But I think the difference mainly will be in the format that it shoots to, and also that the Red's a bigger, bulkier camera, which gives it more of a sort of filmmaking feel, whereas the Canon Eos is obviously just a bog standard 35mm SLR body. It's a stills camera, but it's obviously got with the video mode built in. I don't think Canon quite realised quite the impact it was going to have on the market, and they did a good job. On a tripod, it works exactly the same. I mean, you've got a camera and it's on sticks, and it's you know, it's solid and it doesn't move around too much. However, once you go into a handheld mode, and I quite like a lot of handheld shots in my films. Then of course you get a different type of camera shake, because for a start you've got a monitor on the back of the camera, except I've got an external monitor here, but with a monitor like that, and that monitor is going to be on in video mode, you have to by its nature hold the camera a certain distance away from your eyes to be able to focus on it. Unless you're made of steel, holding the camera for any length of time is going to induce a certain amount of shake. So really you need a decent rig to be able to support it, to give you the sort of movement that's associated with film cameras rather than cheaper video or, in this case, stills camera. So once you've got the rig balanced for handheld work as well, then you've really got a camera that really works fantastically well. I suppose the best bit of kit that I could afford within a sort of, I suppose, $5-ish grand budget I was looking at to start with. It's probably gone over that. Christy would probably tell you more because she's seen the paperwork. I don't want to look at it. But there's a few of the manufacturers out of there, and they all do a fantastic job. It's just that my mate Darren down at Midcourt, who gave me some great advice on the sort of kit to buy, suggested going for Zacuto. It's not the cheapest kit, but it really works. It's really easy to set up. It's very adaptable, adjustable, expandable. All the levers are really nicely. I like the colours as well. All the levers and things work really well, and I just like the kit. So I went for a kit that can be mounted on a tripod, and also a kit that can be mounted on for handheld use on their sniper kit.
Okay, all right, guys, let's do it. Okay, and sound roll.
Totally.
And action. Come on, right.
It's a great piece of kit, and it's, as I say, it's very adaptable. You can adjust things very easily and put it together really quickly, and it's very comfortable to use.
So tell us, the camera itself then, how does it cope with things like low light levels and...
With decent lenses on it, obviously you're able to capture quite a lot of light, and the electronic processing within the camera enables it to work in pretty low light conditions. You've got an amazing ISO range, which obviously is an electronic version of what film does, but as with film, you get a certain amount of grain when you increase the ISO setting. But it will work in pretty low light conditions. However, at the moment, I must admit that we did find some issues which we are looking into at the moment, and I'm sure somebody out there will know the answer. We did suffer some banding on the pictures in low light, vertical banding. But that may be because we were working to extremely low light conditions. This was the house of a blind man who doesn't have his lights switched on. So you can guess it was pretty dim. But I'm sure there's some of you out there will probably already be able to tell us how to make the best of that. And obviously Philip Bloom's website and everything he's got to say about the product as well will help. I did actually download and buy the Philip Bloom electronic manual on the camera, and I think that is really useful. Unfortunately, because we basically bought this kit and had to hit the ground running with it and start shooting almost as soon as we bought it, meant that we didn't have time to mess around with the settings as much as possible, but we did learn quite a few things along the way.
And action!
I spent a little bit more on the monitor that we bought in the end. The Marshall monitor is great. It works in almost any light conditions. I've still got a screensaver on there at the moment, but it is an extremely bright monitor that you can use in daylight. However, do not trust that for your light levels, because what we found is when we started looking at playback, we'd underexposed an awful lot of footage. So what we've done on here is actually turn the brightness level right down. And if I unplug don't know whether you can see that, but if I unplug the monitor, you'll see how dim that picture is in there. So I'd suggest a little bit of playing around with that. Don't always believe your eyes on the exposure, but it is a great monitor and it's really useful because although I was directing, I wasn't always on camera, and it's really important that you need a bigger monitor, especially if you're a director who likes to keep his eyes on things. But we did get a breakout box, HDMI breakout box, HDMI splitter. And although on Philip Bloom's site, Philip, I hope if you do watch this, you've probably got better things to do, but he did say you needed a powered adapter to take more than one monitor. However, we did find with a little bit of fiddling around, you could run two monitors and split off two signals to HDMI feeds using this box without a power.
So tell us about your lenses. What lenses did you go for in the end?
Ideally, we would have loved a set of very expensive prime lenses that would have cost probably more than this house. But in the end, we decided to sort of compromise. I wanted lenses that would sort of cover more or less what we needed to do within 3 lenses, which really, I wanted a decent prime lens, and I love the 50mm prime. It's a Canon prime. It's 1.4. It's not the fastest lens in the world, but it is very near as fast as I'm likely to be able to afford this side of a lottery win. We also bought the 70-200 Canon zoom, which is very nice. It's only 2.8, but it is 2.8, f2.8 all the way through the range, so that's great. And the 24-70 as well for the wider end of it. There are obviously lenses you can get out there that'll give you a wider zoom range, but not to f2.8. Ideally, I'd like a few more primes. We did borrow a couple more lenses. We had a 28mm prime, which was f1.8, which was great again for getting those shallow depth of fields. And I'd like a whole set of them, but at the moment they do nicely. Thank you. Great piece of kit and looks lovely too. It's sporting nice red and silver colours. Very nice.